You're listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast with Prep Baseball Wisconsin, breaking down the top high school prospects and featuring all things college baseball recruiting in a changing world. Hosted by Vinny Rottino, Josh Fields, and Andy Sroka, this is Badger State Ball.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Badger State Ball Podcast here. It's been a little bit, again, just kind of getting back into the swing of things. It's been a busy spring for us, so just trying to kind of get back in our rhythm here. This every other week format is sort of the best we can do, unfortunately, right now. But, Fields and I have been bouncing out the games, publishing stuff on the website, rankings, all sorts of things. Vinny's been locked onto the Brewers. Actually, you were just in the booth for the trip to Cleveland, Vinny. The bats got going yesterday, it looked like, so that was good to see.
A couple mentions of the WIAA and playing in extremely cold weather in the spring in the booth with Jeff Levering and I. But anyway, I digress.
Yes, yeah, that is the WIAA way. Well, I guess now, but yeah, I think you talked to guys back then. Everybody's mad that it moved from the summer to the spring, which I get. See the pros and cons for sure, but it is what it is. But well, now it's warm and almost hot actually, which is fun to get out the games to see that. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the spring to this point. I think we're a little over halfway at this stage, but it's been a really fun spring. But it's also been like a wide open spring, I would say. When you say that too, feels like there isn't this dominant, unanimous number one team right now. We have Hudson ranked number one, and I think we feel good about that. We like them as like the top team in the state, but with that being said, there just hasn't been maybe like this slam dunk number one like in years past. I guess there's been that type of program in the spring.
Yeah, I feel the same way as well. Like, I went up to see Hudson versus New Richmond on Tuesday, and I mean, Hudson was number one, and I believe New Richmond was where are they at, Andy?
Like 12 or 13.
12, 13. Yeah. Like, good team, but like there's the competition level and like the talent level on each team. It's pretty similar, and honestly, it's close enough where it's like anything. It can go either way at this point.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah, because what prompted me to think about that was just like, all right, like 20 last year was kind of wide open. Like the Pier ended up finishing obviously at the top as D1 champs, and they climbed in the top 3 or so as the season went on, like towards the end. But then you had like Oak Creek and Sun Prairie East were like in the top 3 virtually all season, like kind of going back and forth between 1 and 2 and 3. And then the year before that, Whitefish Bay was number 1 the entire spring until they had that early heartbreaking playoff exit. And then I think Sun Prairie in like 2021, Sun Prairie East ran the table entirely. Finished from preseason number 1, won state as well. So like that's what I'm going off of. Where it always feels like in the WIAA there is that type of heavyweight, but this year it's wide open. But then it makes it like a more fun, competitive season too. Like because there's a lot of teams that I think have that case to be number 1 eventually. Like we mentioned Hudson here. Like Hudson is impressive because they've won a ton of really good non-conference games. Like kudos to them. I think we've kind of rewarded them more or less for like getting out there and traveling as much as they do and playing a ton of the best teams in the state. So they've played Kimberly already. They played Hortonville. They played Sun Prairie East. They played Sussex Hamilton. They played Muskego. Like the list kind of goes on. So it's impressive. And they've won a good amount of those games. So they beat Kimberly a few weeks back. They beat Sun Prairie East and Sussex Hamilton in the same day, the last Saturday. But on the other hand, like Fields mentioned, they're 7-3 in the Big Rivers Conference, which has them tied with New Richmond. So they're like neck and neck there. Is there anything you want to mention too, Fields, just on Hudson, just having recently seen them on Tuesday?
I mean, it's such a deep lineup, and they have multiple arms that they can go to on the mound. It's like offensively, defensively, pitching staff. It's probably the most complete team on paper, but like we said, like 7-3 tied with New Richmond at the top. Like that is also just a pretty fun team to watch as well. Like really senior heavy, but at this point in WIAA covering a couple of years, like you come to realize that really anything can happen. Like
yeah, It feels really up for grabs this year. Even like, and we'll get to them a little bit later, but like Sussex Hamilton, they're a great story this year. They were kind of off our radar, honestly, headed into the season, but they shouldn't have been. Like a ton of seniors here. They're just playing really, really well. They've already won the Greater Metro Conference. They've already clinched it. They're still undefeated in the conference. Nobody will be able to catch them. They've been great. And so, yeah, like you said, like it just feels very much up for grabs right now in the WIAA. So that's cool. Kimberly, they're our number 2 team right now. They're 12-3 overall. They are a game up on Hortonville in the Fox Valley Association. They just beat Hortonville last week in a really tight ball game, but we like them. They're totally a state contender here, obviously. But if anything, Hortonville has done a lot for themselves too, despite that 1-run loss to Kimberly. We like them a ton. Just the pitching staff there, they're just playing really, really well right now, and it feels like their lineup is deep, competitive. Like I don't know, like whenever I look at the box score for our daily roundup, it seems like they're getting runs from every spot in the lineup. Wouldn't you say it feels?
Yeah, especially like I saw them earlier in the year against Kakana, and I came away saying like there's a lot of just good players on this team, and that wasn't even them at full strength. Like Cale Conrad had recently gone back, and now he's sliding back into the lineup and performing. Like you said, it's a deep lineup, and at the top of the rotation, they're really competitive with Braylon Brandner and Tim Gass, both having pretty good seasons already. So yeah, it's a fun team to watch.
Yeah, and then in the same breath, Kimberly's 1-2 is just about as good as it gets with Sawyer Deering, and then sophomore Maddox Hermes has been lights out basically, and they're deeper than that too on the mound. But with Hermes just evolving, kind of taking the next step here as like a certified like go-to arm, I think that's helped them carve out the number 2 spot in the state currently. And, of course, they got another senior-heavy lineup here in Kimberly. Sawyer Deering leading the way offensively, but they got Jackson Anselmo.
Connor Olson.
Yeah, Brayden
bunch of guys, Ben Johnson, that have just played a bunch of games, varsity games for them.
And I like Schaefer Peterson, lefty. I really every time I see him, it's just a tough at bat, I think. So he's another guy to mention here too.
Also on the mound, he fills up the zone, competes, and I mean it's in the like upper 70s, low 80s bucket, but he pitches throws all 3 pitches. It's in the zone, really competes, just tax hitters. It's really impressive.
Is it safe to say that Hermes is kind of the surprise maybe of the year, just in terms of like the impact that he's made on that team, right? I mean, providing that second arm for them. I mean, obviously with Sawyer Deering kind of leading the way on the mound for Kimberly, and obviously, if they do make it to state, they're going to have a tough decision to make, right? To who do you put in the semis, and then who do you put on the mound for the championship? But what a story, right, for Hermes to kind of emerge right here as a sophomore to help out Kimberly at number 2.
Yeah, he pitched. I think he probably surprised them as a freshman last year because he was like a reliable freshman for him, and then he's just continued to be that. But even in bigger ball games now, it seems like, and athletically too. I mean, I was just looking it up because I know he's a multi-sport standout. But I think it was the Green Bay ID he was at. He was kind of off the charts in his athletic testing, which was pretty notable. And I don't know, he's someone I think we're gonna have to pay closer attention to in the spring and early summer, just for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, that's a good call, Vinny. I think his emergence has definitely made it a little easier on Kimberly. Just as they continue to finish up the FVA and then kind of look towards the postseason here, I think it makes them a tough out for sure.
Yeah.
Next up, fields these next 2 teams, Sunbury East, Madison Memorial at 3-4 right now. Memorial just dropped a game to Craig that pushed them a game back of East inside the Big 8. But, Craig's kind of rebounding this year. Actually, on that note, Fields, we have to make a mental note of Janesville Craig for next spring, because it looks like, just kind of skimming their lineup, that outside of like Ryan Lamb, they have a ton of really interesting underclassmen actually. So I think that's a future note. But they've been playing well this spring. I think they have like 13 wins, so upsetting Memorial earlier this week isn't like the biggest loss or anything for Madison Memorial, but we like them a lot. I think we talked about them on our last podcast. Sun Prairie East is kind of the same way. I think both these teams are built somewhat similarly. East probably has a little bit more like experience and senior depth, but the talent here I think is really, really good. So Fields, what do you got on these two teams?
Yeah, having seen both of these teams before, I mean, like you said, it's really talented up and down, really similarly built. Like each team has a guy that really brings the energy, like Joey Tamboli on the mound, Braden Benyai on the mound. Both really pitch with a ton of energy. Both are really fun watches. And then they just have they're really good up the middle, like Manny Abreu, Socorro, the Glusick, Vogler for Sun Prairie East, performing up the middle pretty well. And then Oliver Soldab and Yai when he's not on the mound, and Ezra Ligon up the middle, even Caleb Ligon when he slides over to short. Like, it's another strong up the middle team.
Yep. And I think that's like a running theme is like if you cover those spots, like obviously it makes your life a lot easier game to game. So we'll talk a little bit next year at Hortonville. They're at a season high, number 5 overall in our Power 25. Like I said, despite dropping that game to Kimberly last week, I think if anything, that kind of proves that they're right here in this tier of teams that we have in the state right now, just because of like the depth. We'll talk. Maybe I'll just bring it up now since we're on the topic. But Braylon Brantner is having just a terrific year as junior for Hortonville. He's fresh off one of the most dominant performances of the spring so far. 10 strikeouts and like 73 pitches or something for a 7-inning perfect game. 21 up, 21 down. But he's been really good all year. Like this start was not outside the norm. So this was great to see out of him, but we like Taven Gass. There's a bunch of arms here in Hortonville that we really, really like, and then all of a sudden the lineup too. I think that's been the biggest surprise just with Hortonville. We expected them to pitch it, but the depth on the lineup, I think, has really been eye-opening to me at least. Wouldn't you say, Phils?
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, they're getting a bunch of guys back. Like Cale Conrad recently got back, and then honestly, it extends even past that because throughout the winter we were seeing some underclassmen that haven't cracked the varsity roster quite yet, but these guys are just inching at the door. Like it's a senior, junior, senior heavy lineup. They're all performing, and then they even have more like beyond that, the 9 that make the lineup every day.
Yeah, and I wonder how much that's pushed them too. So like Fields, you alluded to there, that they have some underclassmen kind of waiting in the wings, and I think we thought there was a chance that they might win some more playing time by this point in the season, but it's almost like a good problem to have that they haven't just yet, because I think it kind of goes to show that these upperclassmen have sort of bared down and like kept these jobs, these everyday playing time positions, and they're playing really, really well this spring too. And like I said earlier, they're producing runs kind of in all ends of the lineup. Maybe not the most offensive powerhouse squad necessarily, but I think it also helps when it doesn't feel like there's a black hole in your lineup either, which it doesn't with Hortonville. It kind of feels like they could squeak across 3, 4, 5 runs on any given day against any given arm still, and obviously they have the pitching staff here to compete and stay close and win those ball games as the season goes on. That brings us to De Pere. This is a team that feels we need to see a little bit more. It hasn't, the stars have not aligned for us to see them enough. But with that being said, these are the defending champs. They look brand new in 2025, sure, but I mean they're playing the exact same way, same brand of baseball. They're 14-2 overall. They're 2 games up in the Fox River Classic. Ryan Wetstein Sr. having a great spring. Mason Sequin having a great spring. Isaac Pullman, same deal there. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but
Lucas Koski.
Yeah, Lucas Koski. There you go. I mean, this is I think just a solid, sturdy team that is bound to be a tough out yet again. I mean, we said this was a wide open year in the WIAA, and I think them repeating as champions doesn't seem all that far fetched at all. So, if Feels anything to add?
Yeah, just. They graduated a ton last year with that state title run. Not going to get into the names, but Their head coach, when he submitted his preseason questionnaire, said, "Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the group of juniors last year. We're really hungry, really chomping at the bit." And he didn't. I guess it's a surprise to everybody but him about how well they're doing, but because he was just really high heading into the year on them. So kudos to him for really trusting in his guys here. But yeah, it's a really fun team, especially just box score watching with them, like scoring runs, like pitching really well, like they're doing it all.
Yep. Yeah, and it's definitely a testament. I think, like you mentioned, to the coaching staff here, with Coach Van Rens and them, like they clearly just do a good job. If you're able to retool on the fly like they did, from having just, everybody graduates somebody, like a chunk of players that like contributed the year prior, but De Pere was even more so. Like that's how senior heavy they were in 2024 as state champs. But to do that, still win 14 of your first 16 games in 2025 now, and it just clearly goes to show that there's something special going on over there.
And there's a lot of programs around the state that just have great culture, but it just seems like, this winning state kind of out of nowhere last year, and then just like you said, like retooling on the fly. It just seems to be some special sauce there going on at De Pere and at the program. So like you said, kudos to them. Off to another great start.
Yeah, and Ryan Wetstein, which I don't have too much on him because I think he's a multi-sport kid who I think plays football more so. He might even be a football commit, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I mean, he's slugging 700. He's got 12 steals this year. He's every time we look at the box score, it's multi-hits or clutch hits or whatnot. Like, so him and Mason Sequin, I think, have been churning the offense primarily, but having guys like that who athletically, they might excel in different sports and being able to plug them in, like Arrowhead has always done a pretty good job of that too. Just having these multi-sport athletes kind of come in and just fit the mold, like contribute right away. So kudos to De Pere there for sure. Moving on here to number 7. Yeah, like we kind of referenced earlier, it's maybe the story of the spring so far, like Sussex Hamilton undefeated in the Greater Metro. That's a really tough conference, like a lot of good teams in this conference. We thought this was going to be kind of a dogfight. Not sure who was going to come out on top. We didn't think it would be Sussex Hamilton, but shame on us. But they've been really, really good. Feels, you want to talk about them just right off the bat here? I can kind of look up some of their season stats too.
Yeah, our area scout Mike Anderson has been out there a couple times to see them, and I mean he's came away really impressed with them. Like, they got a bunch of guys that are just really producing. Ethan Hibicki, River Falls commit, is really pitching for them on the mound really well. Nick Braun has been really strong for them recently. He's a St. Thomas commit. And then, like, it's another deep lineup. Nate Glapa is still there, man, shortstop.
Luke Lennon.
And then Johnny Arnold is having a great year for, I think he was out last year with a broken arm, some sort of injury, but he's coming back and really hitting. Brady York is another infielder that looks really strong with the bat for them this year. So it's just a bunch of guys, a bunch of names to know on this Sussex Hamilton team, and they're really playing team baseball here, it seems like.
Yeah. So Hibicki, just pulling up some stats, like he's got an 830 OPS, 16 RBIs. He's been even more important to them on the mound, I guess I'd say, like almost 40 innings pitched, 125 ERA, 48 strikeouts over that span. Feels like he's got the ball in just about every big game, and he's put them in a position to win every time. Jacob Osmanski is another one too, 35 innings, 30 strikeouts, 8 earned runs, which is a 156 ERA. So, they've been just a well-rounded team. This is probably one of the most balanced teams we've talked about so far, like, because it just does feel like they can win in a multitude of ways, which not every team can say that. And you mentioned John Arnold too. He's a junior, one of the few juniors in this lineup that's really an everyday guy for them, and he's been great. I think he leads the team with 7 doubles, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Just kind of skimming through the stats here. So his resurgence has been huge for us as well, or for Sussex Hamilton as well. So great stuff there. Congrats to them. GMC champs. We'll see. They're going to be a really tough out in the playoffs. Whitnell. This is one of the most fun teams, I guess, for me. Like, they've had a ton of interesting non-conference games. They have some of the most interesting wins of any team, at least of any D2 team. They have a lot of really good wins for a D2 squad. So they're currently our top-ranked D2 team, but I think it's really close. This is as good as the D2 has been, especially in the Milwaukee area, maybe as long as I've been here, because it's Whitnall, it's New Berlin Eisenhower, Pewaukee, Wisconsin Lutherans in D1 now, but they're traditionally D2 team. So just the amount of talent, I guess, in these two Woodland conferences is really at an all-time high. But Whitnall specifically, they got the better of New Berlin Eisenhower in a weird, like, rain-interfered game, 10-9, but so they're obviously close in terms of talent, and, like, you know, I think that would be a Game 7 series if it went to 7, if it was best of 7. So we like them in terms of they have, like, a Jake Recklitz, Nate Casson, kind of steady seniors who can do it on both sides of the ball, and then they have the upside of, you know, some high-profile arms like Luke Parkinson, Lucas Weber, Tanner Efforts, and then offensively too. I think they've been even better than we would have thought. And it isn't just like the senior Jack Lutz. Like we know about him. He's a really gifted player going to South Florida next year. But they're getting production from all sides of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean Matthew Koo, AJ Clark is back. Like those are two also seniors that are really swinging well for them. Like, I don't know. I've been really impressed by the swings that we've seen from Matthew Koo recently. Like, definitely a guy that can be an asset at the plate in college. Like, uncommitted senior for them right there. AJ Clark, lacrosse commit, moving around a diamond for them. Traditionally a catcher, but providing some versatility defensively this year.
Yep. Yeah, he's had some of my favorite swings on video, to be honest. AJ Clark. Because I haven't seen them because the first time I saw him, he wasn't in the lineup. I think, and then, but he's back now, of course, and he's playing really, really well. But some of my favorite swings of the spring so far coming from AJ Clark, senior there, the cross commit, like Field said. So we like Whitnall. Arrowhead's been like locked into the back half of the top 10 literally all spring, which I think is fair, makes sense. It's just a really competitive team that plays everyone close. They've lost a few like extra. They played like 4 or 5 extra inning games last week, which is crazy. But they actually have the pitching, I think, to like not have that devastate them, which I think they might be one of the few, if maybe the only team that could be in a situation like that. So they competed in all of those games, and it seems like we're getting reports that Peter Cassell is just getting better and better. Like I don't know, I've heard feels that he's been maybe up to a 6 or 7 even. We'll see. I don't know if that we're eager to see him next to validate that, but I mean I'm also not shocked to hear it if that is the case. So that'll be interesting. But they're more than just Peter Cassell too. I mean this lineup I think has been even more like competitive, battle tested, I guess, than I would have expected it to be at this point. And then the pitching staff has been as advertised. Tanner Bowman, Cam Carter, they've all been really, really good. And Graydon Lythan has been really good. I've liked him a lot too. So does that line up with your looks, Fields?
Yeah, so saw them about a month ago as well as about a week ago, and it was some changes were made in the lineup, and like Colton Top, Braden Lobo getting slotted in center field and first base. Like those two are taking really, really good at bats and really winning spots there. On top of it, Nico Frangopoulos, PJ Hamill, and Cam Carter have really started to hit and really started to, just drive in runs. Like they're stringing together more multi-hit innings, like just putting together a more like well-rounded offensive approach as a team, like that's really developed over the season.
Yeah, I've liked Colton Top a lot. Yeah, Vinny, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, go ahead. I want to add something at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get a sec too, Vinny, check out Colton Top just to see if you remember him from the West Milwaukee ID. Just because his swings in season, he's sophomore for Arrowhead. I've been really impressed with his swing. He just looks like he can be a player for sure at the next level. But like Fields alluded to, his introduction to the lineup, I think, has given them a little boost too. And but they're getting a ton out of Cam Carter offensively. Yamato Takahashi has been good. PJ Hamill has had a couple clutch hits, I think, in the last week or so. And then the lefties like Frangopoulos Top, and then Brendan Foley is like one of the toughest at bats in the state. I think like he's been really, really good. He plays a really sturdy, like solid, reliable shortstop right now for them too. So just kind of getting the job done with what they got. Like they're number 9 right now. I feel like they're one of the last teams you want to play in the playoffs if you have to face Cusseau. But it isn't just him. Like, then, if it's not Cusseau, then it's Tanner Bowman or Cam Carter, and it really doesn't get much easier after that. So, they're going to be a tough team to play come playoff time.
Yeah, I really liked Colton Top at that West Milwaukee ID. I mean, serious juice in that swing from kind of like a slider frame currently, but he's got plenty of room there to add, and he's going to be a player. Definitely liked what I saw from him. No surprise that he's performing well for Arrowhead this spring. But I did want to also just add, because he did tweet this out as the kind of lost to their pitching staff right now with Jack Roventini kind of tweeted out that he was going through some health issues he was actually diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So pretty scary stuff from Jack, but he tweeted out, there's a high success rate with this cancer, and he's very hopeful. And I mean, couldn't be a better kid. It just the optimism from him, and everyone's rallying around him. Thoughts and prayers with Jack and his family and stuff. But I talked to Coach O'Driscoll about it, and everyone's kind of rallying and making sure that he's going to be part of this thing for that group. He's going to join the team in whatever capacity that he can, and go from there. But yeah, just really pulling for Jack, and sorry to hear the news, but like I said, he's fighting, and we're like I said, thoughts and prayers going with him and his family.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Vinny. It's a great call. Thinking about you, Jack. Really one of the more talented pitchers in the state, senior class. So we're excited to see him back on the mound, and as soon as he can be, and health-wise, and of course. So thinking about you, Jack. Thinking about you, and I'm sure you'll give it your all in the Arrowhead dugout when you're not on the mound too. I'm positive that Jack is a good dugout guy. If I'm not,
100%.
Yeah.
We had him in the dugout at the senior future games. So he's a great guy.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, moving on here to the number 10 team on our board, New Berlin Eisenhower. I guess you could call them like the surprise of the spring, but this sounds like Monday morning quarterbacking here, but I'm pretty sure this would have been if we went to a Power 26 in the preseason, New Berlin Eisenhower, I'm pretty sure would have been number 26. We don't get any points for that. I'm not looking for any points for that, but we did think that they were really, really good, but we didn't rank them, shame on us. But Sam Hurth, sophomore, Cal Schneider are their two top arms. Cal Schneider is having just a ridiculous season here. I pulled up his stats here. Vinny, we got Cal Schneider, sophomore, left-hander. We knew he could pitch. We love the pitchability here from Cal. It's so unique, especially for someone his age. 34 innings, 1 earned run allowed. So you might think maybe there's some scoring smudges going on there, but only 2 runs allowed in the season. So there you go. 13 hits, 5 walks, 62 strikeouts. That is a 0.21 ERA and a 0.53 WHIP. And he's done it against some pretty good teams here. I mean, he did it against Wisco. That's a great lineup, young lineup, a really good one. And then Pewaukee as well, kind of in the same boat, although more seniors for Pewaukee. So they took some decent at-bats off him, but I say that, but he shut him out. So it's just kind of crazy what's going on here.
I mean, this is exactly why any team can beat any team in any level of baseball, and any guy this talented on the mound that can just totally shut down any lineup. Doesn't matter what kind of bats are in that lineup either. I mean, that's how good Cal Schneider is when he's going well, and he's going well all spring. That he can totally shut down a team, and that's how New Berlin Eisenhower can win. And any team can beat any other team. But yeah, they're playing extremely well on the whole all season long. Obviously, at ranked number 10.
Yep, him. So you got Schneider, but Sam Hurth has been lights out in his own right. 53 strikeouts in 33 innings for him. But he's also been one of their best hitters, slugging .870 with 6 doubles, 5 home runs. Carter Hollenbach also been really, really good this spring. We liked it. We saw him on opening day against St. Joe's, and he kind of caught our attention. And then he's kept up his kept it up at the plate offensively. So he's hitting 41, also slugging just about 900. 11 extra base hits for him, also 5 home runs, 22 RBIs. So he's been really, really impressive for them. So and watching them play the other day against Pewaukee about a week ago now, they are a much more complete team than I think we were giving them credit for as well. Like just and 1 through 9 defensively, they look solid. Herthy was playing a pretty good shortstop, honestly. Behind the plate, they're not bad at all. Like they can catch this pitching staff, which can be a problem in the WIAA from time to time, but that's not an issue here. Yeah, in the outfield they're good. They're more athletic too. So yeah, they check a ton of boxes. Like they're our number 2 D2 team, I guess you could say. But man, these guys are all kind of neck and neck. It's gonna be really crazy to see who comes out of that. It's gonna be really tough for one of these D2 teams or multiple D2 teams to not make it to state ultimately, because all these guys are going to kind of have to beat each other up in order to get to Appleton, unfortunately. But seeing who emerges from this group in the playoffs is going to be a really fun watch. So kind of eager to see that. Some more teams to be in the know. I also should mention that they won the Woodland West already, so they clinched it, and that's the first time since 2012. So shout out to them. Good stuff there. So bringing that up real quick. But some other teams to know: Slinger, Brookfield East, New Richmond, Oconomowoc. Just kind of a handful more teams that wanted to pull up since they are having really strong seasons. Slingers 14-2 overall right now. They're a game up on Whitefish Bay in the North Shore. Brookfield East. They won't win the Greater Metro with Hamilton having clinched that already, but they've been really good. They kind of have the ingredients of a team that can make a run here in the postseason. We talked about New Richmond, but again, like they got through a little bit of a rough patch. I guess their first of the spring. They were undefeated for their first, I think, 13 games of the season. Then they kind of hit a bump in the road, and then had to face Hudson, which is probably not the time you want to face the top team in the state when you're kind of experiencing your first slump. But they split with Hudson. I think that kind of goes to show what kind of team they are. So they still have more than just a puncher's chance in the big rivers. Like they're tied right now, and they could totally come out on top, especially with Aiden Eckert leading the way as their go-to arm, their ace. They're senior heavy; they can get it done. Ocon too. We've liked what we've seen out of them. I mean, they beat Peter Cousseau a month ago or something. Like they took it to them. We like that lineup a lot. Merrick Bolson's playing really, really well. Cooper Shafkin, sophomore, can really, really hit. Luke Schlosser. I mean, kind of the list goes on. Ryan Brennicky as a certified WIAA ace. So those are 4 teams. Am I missing anybody here? Feels that you think we should reference?
Just really wanted to mention just how impressive New Richmond was. Like you did mention the seniors, but like a couple sophomores and even just a couple sophomores, Alex Solberg and Lucas Quaddy actually for them on Tuesday were really impressive. Solberg DH for them, but he's a catcher right now. They have a pretty good defensive catcher in Bennett Scribner behind the plate for them. But Solberg is super physical. He's a big right-hander with a ton of swing and just ton of looseness to the swing. So it's definitely a guy that we came away with a follow. Quaddy is also like this middle infielder that can kind of swing it. It really takes hacks with some strength behind it. So it's not just the seniors for New Richmond. They really just have a bunch of athletes that can really play.
Yeah, Gavin Terrace Sr., I mean, he's been hitting a lot this spring. Max Kratovics, we expected him to hit, and he is. And, yeah, you sent me a few swings while you were over there that looked really good. I think it was Quaid or Quaddy that looked really, really good. And, Bennett Scribner, too. I like that swing. Like, they're no joke. That's going to be another tough out in the playoffs, all these teams are. That's why they're here. That's why they're ranked. But, New Richmond, glad that we jumped on the bandwagon there because they're the real deal. Trying to think, too, if there's any other. I want to make sure I'm not big leaguing any of these teams here. But
DC Everest is on this massive
DC Everest
win
is a good
streak.
call. Yeah, they're on a huge win streak. This is the same conference that Stevens Point usually runs. They've been just the dominant team out there, but kind of in a rebuilding year, I guess, for them. But DC Everest has kind of taken the mantle for the time being, and Spash has made it to state the last few years. So you wonder if the same fate is in store there for DC Everest. They're 14-3 overall. Cole O'Brien has been probably one of the pitchers of the year in that region. He's someone we're going to have to pay attention to once we assemble our all-state lists. because his statistics, I think, have been kind of off the charts good. So that'll be good. That's another worthy one mentioning. Waterford, actually, I think, has been really, really sharp. In Southern Lakes, 15-5 overall. So shout out to them, Coach Matt Reed, doing a great job over there. There's a ton more. I mean, the list kind of goes on. But currently, St. Joe's, they're our D3, top-ranked D3 team, the only team ranked in the D3 on the Power 25. But we were kind of combing through some of the midseason stat leaders, and we were curious about some of these St. Joe bats, and that led us to senior Peter Visconti here, has to be leading the way in terms of the catchers in the state, just statistically. 14 extra base hits, 5 home runs. He's slugging over 1,000, 31 RBIs, 7 strikeouts to 19 walks, which is great to see for Peter. Dom Santarelli, 18 extra base hits, 8 home runs. He's been walked 27 times. Kind of funny. I saw that RJ tweeted something. He was mad that they're not going after giving Dom enough to hit, which I can appreciate. I think you got to challenge Dom here. Let him eat.
Guess
31
how many stolen
RBIs.
bases Dom has?
What's that?
Guess how many stolen bases Dom has?
Man, I couldn't even tell you.
27.
Yeah.
Peter Visconti also has 35 for comparison. He's been caught once.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a weird situation with the level of competition. Kind of varies. I mean, they've credit to them. They've tried to schedule a ton of interesting non-conference games. So it's not like this is exclusively coming against some teams that you'd expect them to beat. But still, I mean, pretty crazy numbers. Zach Rizzo too is a 1,200 OPS, 11 extra base hits, 3 home runs. He's struck out 40 guys in 23 innings. Kind of worth mentioning there too. There's a ton more. St. Joe's, just statistically, you could kind of pull up all these guys. We were just talking about Patrick Davidson the other day, Fields and I, and just how much we like Patrick Davidson. So there's a lot of talent here. They're our top-ranked D3 team for a reason.
Well, and with St. Joe's too, they were the kind of the class of the Division III schools, right, among the Division III schools in the preseason rankings, and then they've kind of lived up to the billing too. So that doesn't happen all the time, right? They, at times.
Yeah.
Especially in the WIAA, there's a history of the top-ranked teams getting knocked around and knocked off. More so in the D1, D2s or whatever. But credit to them. They've done it, and they were coming in as a class, kind of with a target on their back, and they've done it so far, and they're looking to make the run all the way through.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. How do you, Vinny? How would you evaluate that? I know it's not his draft year or anything like that, but. With Santarelli, maybe not getting a ton to pitch, and the level of competition maybe you're kind of unsure of, but from that evaluator standpoint, how do you go about that?
Well, you kind of take a look at what he's been doing against maybe some of the lesser competition, and you take that into consideration, but then you also kind of go back and say, okay, these are Nintendo numbers for sure, what he's doing against some of the lesser competition, but then you draw back on some of the history of what he's done in the summer circuit, and you kind of draw on those looks, and then you'll make sure that you go ahead and follow up with those looks again this summer, against some of the better arms that he is going to face this summer. Look, it's hard to evaluate, and we've talked about this a ton. It's hard to evaluate bats in the spring anyway in Wisconsin, any cold weather state. You got to kind of rely on your looks that you see with these guys in the summer. It's just you're going to get a better look and better feel for what these players are going to be in the future when it is just flat out warmer. I mean, it's impossible to play baseball at times when it's 30 degrees with a 45-mile-an-hour wind off Lake Michigan. It's just, you're not going to get a great look, and you're not going to get a great feel. These kids are more comfortable, and again, it is more indicative of what they're going to look like at that next level, whether it's college or pro, when it is just flat-out better weather and, quite frankly, more traditional baseball weather. So that's kind of what you kind of have to remember.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes it just, unfortunately, you have to wait till summer in certain cases. But regardless, yeah, it's still impressive.
Yeah, super impressive with the numbers he's putting up.
Numbers and any context. Yep. We try to pull up. We've done a good job of mentioning a lot of these guys, I think, while we were talking about some of their teams. So probably don't need to touch on any more of these numbers that I mentioned. But it feels like, is there anybody else you hear you think we're leaving off that we haven't mentioned yet. Again, a lot of these numbers were pulled from like Game Changer and stuff. If like there was like public access, so some of these teams we weren't able to pull like the spring stats to this point just yet. We'll get those eventually at the end of the season, but from the coaches directly. But just for these like this kind of segment purposes, like unfortunately we weren't able to do a deep dive on every single team, but I just wanted to make that clear. But yeah, Fields, anything we're leaving off here from some of the midseason standouts right now?
Adam Kudranowicz, maybe. He's been pitching
Mm-hmm.
really well, actually doing it both sides of the ball, really providing a middle of the order presence, and frankly, one of the better run producers in like even the Classic 8, if not the state. Like, I would say he has a pretty good shot at maybe taking Player of the Year in that conference, just with what he's been able to do with the bat and just on the mound.
Yeah, they McWanago is another team here that we should mention, just because I mean, if they made it to state, would you be shocked? Like, no. They're playing really, really well in the division, or in the conference, which is like the toughest conference in the state, and they kind of have the pieces here too. We liked the lineup when we saw them at the Rock last month, and like you mentioned too, Kudranowicz is a great kind of arm to lean on at times, and he's slugging too, but it's not just him. There's multiple arms here. And then the lineup, is deeper than we expected it to be or projected it to be at the start of the spring. So that's a good call. Beaver Dam, we just ranked for the first time this past week. They swept Monona Grove. They're 13-4 overall. Of course, we cursed them, so they lost their first game as the Power 25. I think teams that debut in the Power 25 are probably like 250 winning percentage or something like that in the first game or something. We cursed them. They lost to Watertown, who is good. Watertown is good, and Elliot Rothley. But they're a really strong team. I like them. Eli Bryant, Brandon Morrissey, Ashton Seifert. There's Jeffrey Frund who's having a great spring. So I think they're definitely worth mentioning here as well. Germantown, we've kind of liked all spring. So like we said, there's just like a sense right now in the WIAA that is a kind of a wide open race. So just kind of excited to see how this all plays out, because there's a lot of different variations, I think, of the state championship scene right now, and it could get kind of crazy. So the playoffs can't come soon enough. All right, awesome. Well, I think maybe we should just transition then to Vinny. You want to talk about your Rottino Report segment here?
Yeah.
Are we spotlighting this time around?
Yeah, we're spotlighting Luke Parkinson, one of those arms that we just talked about from Whitnall, is having a great spring. We saw him at the Mosh back in March, and he was phenomenal on the mound. He was on my mound. It's 6'3", 175. He's downhill. Really leverages the ball downhill really well. That fastball up to 20 inches of induced vertical break, averages 17, so pretty good numbers there on the fastball. Up to 90 miles per hour in that showcase. We've seen him all the way up to 88 this spring. Good tight curveball at the showcase as well with a changeup. But it sounds like in the spring he's been featuring a little bit more of a sharper, harder breaking ball as well. So a couple of different iterations of that breaking ball. He can certainly spin it. Having a great spring, a really repeatable delivery, athletic, very high upside guy. Luke Parkinson ranked 30th in the state for that 2026 class. Currently uncommitted, but this is going to be a good one. Good right-handed arm in Luke Parkinson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a huge fan of his, and kind of why, like you said, we've been pretty high on Whitnall. They just have a bunch of arms like this. It just so happens. So, whenever you have a situation like that, you're a tough team to run out against again in the playoffs, especially. So I'm not envious of the teams that have to run into them even after they throw a guy like Jake Recklitz or something, because then you have Luke Parkinson on deck on the mound. So that's why we like them so much. But appreciate that, Vinny. I think that kind of covers us this week, guys. No, anything else we need to touch on here? Good.
Nice short and sweet episode, and we'll try and get another one next week, but if not, it'll be in a couple of weeks. But
yes,
appreciate all the coverage. Obviously, this spring, you guys have been absolutely killing it while I'm doing the Brewers thing, and Mike Anderson as well. And it's been fun to follow and fun to watch, and so much talent in the state of Wisconsin now more than ever. I mean, it continues to just get better and better. It's fun to watch.
At the big league level, too, we got Drake Baldwin raking.
Right.
Drake Baldwin's ranking. Dalton Varsho's like the best outfielder in baseball.
Wasn't JP Fireeisen back too?
I think so. Yeah.
How about the Tampa Bay Rays have 2 catchers from the WIAA
Yeah.
on their roster and playing?
Yeah.
I mean, and they're not a bad club. Those 2 are still trying to get their footing in the big leagues this year, but they will. Both really good players, and Danny Jansen and Rortvet, Ben Rortvet. Yeah, so just phenomenal stuff that there's 2 catchers on the same roster from WIA. Amazing.
Yeah, and then you got another catcher. They just play. I think they just play. It was like
Braves,
Baldwin and Varsho, and I think someone else is Jansen, like all homered on the same day. I think they just homered on the same day recently, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, something great. Maybe it wasn't all 3 homered, but it was like.
I think they played each other early in the year too.
Yeah.
And I think Greg had a picture with them Greg Reinhardt had a picture with all
Alan
3
Roden,
of them.
Yeah.
On the field, something like that.
Yeah. It's just crazy how many, like guys
Insane.
like Drake Baldwin is like legit, turning into one of the best catchers in the National League or something.
Yeah, I mean he's showing like
get more playing time now.
Potential future All-Star. I mean the way that he's playing right now. Yeah, amazing.
That's awesome. All right, well. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. We will be back as soon as we can. Talk a little bit more WIAA and beyond. Keep a lookout for our summer showcase schedule, which is live now. We are doing a little bit more work there. Wisconsin state games invitations, I think, are going out if they haven't already. So keep an eye on that. But we'll be doing more research and scouting to find more of those players for those events, future games, and beyond. So. A lot coming down the pipeline here for us, so stay tuned. But yeah, thanks again for listening, guys. See you next time.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast. To keep tabs on our latest events, rankings, and coverage, subscribe or follow the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us over at PrepBaseballWI on X and at PrepBaseballReport.com/Wisconsin. Until next time.